Hello, everyone, from the beautiful city of Prague, and welcome to CE Connect today. My name is Adam Carson, and I'll be your guide for today's international virtual event on the topic of angel co-investments to early-stage startups with the support of public providers. Now, today's event is organized as a part of the CE Connector project, which has been funded through Interreg Central Europe. It is very much focused on the startup world, and that means early stage startups, startups that have just received investments, institutions supporting startups, angel investors, and venture capital firms. Now, we aim to share interesting information, discuss best practices, and perhaps even inspire new ideas. So, what is the agenda for today? We shall start with two fantastic keynote speeches. Then we're going to have a discussion with two special guests on the results and best practices of CE Connector ASIF. And that will be from two different countries at that. And we're going to close the morning part of today's event with speed trading, maximizing our LinkedIn potential. After lunch, it's going to be all about an exciting roundtable discussion. Now, to start off and to talk about angel investments in early stage startups, let me invite to our virtual stage one of the people who's been involved in the CE Connector ASIF initiative on a transnational level. He is DEX or DEX Innovation Center's head of project implementation and communication, Michal Stefan.
Hello, Adam. Hello, everybody. Adam, can you hear me well?
Hello, are you there, Michal? Hello and welcome.
Welcome, Adam. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. Michal, I have a question, which is, we have this mysterious name, CE Connector ASIF. Can you tell us what it represents and how it works?
Yes, it sounds like a very mysterious name. It's very simple at the end. To make it short at the very beginning, and I will go into the details a bit later on, CE stands for Central Europe. Connector is about building, facilitating, bridging different institutions together. And ASIF means Angel Co-Investment Fund. So we are actually working here on providing early stage investments from different angels towards early stage startups. So all together, CE Connector Angel Co-Investment Fund is about bridging investments from angel investors to early stage teams across the whole Central European territory. But to go into the details of that, let me give you more details on the overall story about this initiative, because DEX Innovation Center became very successful in last years in actually drafting and designing pan-European initiatives for needs of innovations in different sectors. And we were able to bring many interesting initiatives on the market together with our international partners, but also we were able to raise funds for these and bring those products, bring those initiatives on the market. And this is how we actually grow as a DEX Innovation Center. And in recent times, last 6 years, we actually started working with startups based on my individual experience and based on the experience of our CEO as well. We started working with numerous programs on startups. And by talking with them, we actually realized that many early stage startups are still missing access to finance because they have run out of their own cash from their own funds, from family and fools around them. And they still didn't receive, they still didn't get to the stage where they will be able to ask for money from venture capital firms. just because of the ticket size that they needed for next development, or just because of the fact that they were not yet ready in terms of validation of the startup idea and some earlier revenues on also. So also because of that, we actually initiated one of these initiatives that we are very good at, and this is exactly the C Connector Angel Co-Investment Fund. 4 years back, we came up with this idea. We built the portfolio of partners in other Central European countries, and we started working on this C Connector Angel Co-Investment Fund. At the moment, we are working for the past 2-3 years with startups, business angels, public institutions, and also ecosystem players in all countries of this initiative locally. And if we cannot find the best matches locally, we are bringing them internationally, of course, because of the family of C Connector. And how does it work? We are working currently with startups, we are working currently with angels and all the ecosystem players and public institutions, because we can bring the investments to startup, we can bring interesting pipelines for angels, we can bring a good impact for the territory, for the public institutions, and so on. So this is in short and a little bit more details of the story, Adam.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Sounds like an angel investor can be one of the key steps on the way to success for any startup. So, what do you think we should know, or we need to know about angel investors and early stage investments in general?
Yes, that is a very good question. I don't think I can actually manage to say it in a couple of sentences in a couple of minutes, but let me tell, let's say, our shared experience from this initiative from the past years. Definitely, predominantly business angels are people who either have their current business going on in a small or medium enterprise for a long time. They have accumulated a lot of cash which they want to invest somewhere else than their own company. There are people who were founders before, who were able to solve their previous business. There are people who actually were managers in large corporations, people with experience, people with money, people who know the business itself and would like to invest into interesting teams on the market. There is definitely a good learning from the past activities from us. Overall, is that, of course, there is a difference between the business angels who are already experienced for a long time on the market and those angels who would like to get in the business and really start investing into startups, because the experienced business angels tend to already work in groups with their own friends, with their own relatives that actually invest into the same businesses which they kind of select. Whereas the newly coming business angels to the field somehow tend to join initiatives like this, tend to join different clubs, and of course want to become part of groups of angels where they could get some experience from as well. They tend to need more support from us as the facilitators of these co-investments on the market, because not necessarily they have their own lawyers yet. They have multiple experiences with the investment papers and stuff like that. What we have also learned in the past years, that all the different business angels, no matter if we are looking at the experienced business angels or just the newly coming business angels to the field, have really different preferences and approaches. And we need to go really individual business angel per business angel, because everybody has different possibilities in terms of the investment amounts that they want to invest into the startup. They have different industry experience where they feel confident enough to invest in the startups. They have different processes which they like to follow. They have different people, and we need to work with them really individually towards the potential successful investment to the startup. We need to build really personal relationship. We need to interview them at the very beginning, and we need to really have a good database of information in our hands about those people, so we could provide them the best fitting startup from our pipeline of interesting startups for the investment. What we also learned in past, that the business angels like to share experience between each other, especially when it comes to critical comments for startups that are on the list for potential investments, because people like to no critical comments and a risk associated with such investment. They also like to get it from us served on the table. This is a startup which we are going to invest because of A, B, and C. And I think this is why you should invest into this as well. If for some reason we cannot be investing ourselves into the startup also, then we should really be able to say this is a startup that we would normally invest into because of A, B, and C. Obviously, one of the issues that we learned also when talking to business angels who really want to invest into early stage startups is that most frequently it happens that the startups evaluate themselves quite high in terms of getting the first investment in early stage. So this is something that is usually being tackled then later on with the negotiation between the startup and the business angel. They have their own pipelines. They are part of multiple other business angel clubs and business angel networks. So apart from building really personal relationship and knowing the business angel separately about their preferences and not providing them all startups, but only separate startups that really fit their profile and criteria, we have to position ourselves somehow within the business network that we have and with the startup that we are working with.
Mm. Sounds like there's quite a lot to know about investors, angel investors, and early stage startups. But I have to be mindful of the time a little bit, because if I understand it correctly, you have a guest of your own that you want to bring out now. Is that right?
Yes, that is absolutely correct, Adam. Thank you very much. Because I don't want to be speaking here myself. It would be still for a longer time. But what I wanted to do here is really to invite one of my friends, I could say as well. It's a guy from a startup that was part of our acceleration program back in 2019 with a startup called Pointy. And I would like to discuss and ask him a couple of questions related to their business angels investment, because from 2019 they actually went a big journey and they are now at a later stage, and they could share with us and all the attendees of today's event their own experience. So in this case, I will welcome my friend and a colleague from the Pointy startup, Jan Strenat, here on the stage. And I might have a couple of questions for you, Jan. Would you mind?
Not at all. Hi, everybody. Hi, Michael. Well, at first, thank you for having me here. And yeah, ask right away.
Wonderful. It's really great to see you here after 3 years, right? From the fact when you actually joined our acceleration program back in 2019. My first question is here, Jan. That time when you were part with Pointy startup, part of our acceleration program, would you consider Pointy that time to be in an early stage back in 2019?
I would say we were it's not an early stage. That was just an idea phase. We didn't have there was no incorporation, and yeah, that was really early stage of our startup. So I was really grateful to be in your accelerator. It was really beneficial, and yeah, it was a long way to be here, and we are still early stage startup now. So yes, definitely. From that perspective, well, basically we've started with an idea that we will develop a nice artificial intelligence that every company in the world can use, and we will deliver nice actionable insight directly to managers and help the organizations to be better, to perform better, and this kind of idea completely fails over time. And we've kind of encountered a new customer, a new field in process automation that we are completely in love. We've pivot, create our organization. Now we see great potential in process automation in the world, and we know that it can be better, much better. And right now our mission is to make the process automation, maintenance and support effortless. That's what we do. But we started with after the accelerator, we have found the angel investor, and after a year we've like went through the really painful process of finding new VCs and new seed round, and we were very successful with that. So I would kind of like give you a hint about what we've went through and our key takeaway. Is it okay, Michael?
It is okay. It is okay, Jan. Fantastic to see your progress in this area, really, from 2019. My next question really goes, when was the first time when we actually needed to get any external investment from somebody, and how was it working at the time?
Well, we've started kind of like bootstrapping. So basically, we've done a different work, like services for our customers. From that money, we've funded our own idea and start to slowly develop it. But then we realized that we need to be really fully focused on a problem and solving them. Yeah, talking to customers and build a solution. So we decided, okay, we want to have somebody on board and help us. And angel investor was the best way how to do it. So yes, we've talked to many VCs at the time, but we realized that there are not a lot of good VCs on the market. And there are like there's a lot of really good angel investors. So we decided that we want to have like strategic investor on board. We found a really good one, Mipcon Group, and yeah, we went for that. That was brilliant idea, and helped us a lot with the progress.
What was the first investment amount by this Mipcon Group, and how did they actually help you at that stage, apart from the money?
Yeah, we decided, well, from our perspective, we truly believe of like smart money and this kind of concept. So there was not big money, like 300K euros, so not much. But besides that, they offer us their experts in the fields, their like architects, developers, and their salespeople in order to scale our company to try to find a product market fit and so on. And they were in the position that they can introduce us to a lot of big organizations and really speed up our process of developing the product. So that was kind of like clever. After a while, we realized that we want to pivot to a different field. So yeah, but at the first stage, that was really great. So I wouldn't like doubt that. It was a really good decision.
Did you get any additional investors later on at a stage after Mipcom Group, Jan?
Yeah, actually, what we've done really clever thing. We've started to talk to other founders and the people like Michael, and they recommend us another people from like CEOs from really good companies like Martin Rehak, Resistant AI, or Michal Schmida, Twisto, and Tomáš Gokar, Rossum, and so on. And they recommend us a way how to raise the money, what to do, and they recommend us good business angels. And we started with that. They introduced us to one US business angel, Alex Oppenheimer, and with him, we kind of like be able to realize what to do, how much money we should raise, and also he decided to invest a small amount of money, but he helped us a lot with our go-to-market and so on and our pitch, and he introduced us to another huge funds like EU funds, the best ones, and so on, and other their network. So that was the really good idea. And after that, we do have 4 angel investors on board right now, and I'm really happy about it because of their network, their help, and so on. So yeah, really good.
That sounds really wonderful, Jan. Thanks for sharing a couple of insights into how we were actually looking for the angel investors. Last question for you. In one sentence only, could you say what will be the biggest recommendation from your side for any kind of other early stage startups when looking for angel investment? In one sentence.
One sentence. Okay. Talk to founders. Talk to founders. Talk to people, like people that been there, done that. Yeah. Or
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much, Jan, for joining us for this little interview at the very beginning of CE Connect today. Thank you for joining, and I'm giving out back the time for Adam to the stage. Thank you.
Hello again. Thank you, Michal and Jan. Now, if there are any questions from the audience for either what you've heard now or anything that you'll hear in the future, please type it out into the chat, and your questions will hopefully get to me, and I'll have a chance to ask them. I'd say great introduction. I loved it, learned a lot already as well. I think we can now jump into the next part of today's event, actually, which is, drumroll, keynote speeches. Our first keynote speech today is called Development of Go-to-Market Strategy and the Role of Strategic Investors. Well, it's essentially everything you need to know as a beginner entrepreneur, isn't it? Now, this keynote is particularly relevant to all startups that are just about to receive an investment, but also the ones that have just received an investment already. And I think also for those that want to ask for an investment. Now, to share his over 30 years of experience in business development and general management in high-tech industries, including security, artificial intelligence, business intelligence, enterprise software solutions, CRM, digital social publishing, content management systems, bespoke software development, and strategic ICT consulting, let me welcome our speaker, Mr. Ian Collins.
Thank you very much, Adam. I'm smiling here at the long list of credentials.
Give it a sec.
Thank you.
And I feel Ian will connect. Hello, hello.
Hello. Hello, Adam. Can you hear?
Can you hear me, Ian?
Yes, I can.
Excellent. Hello there.
Hello,
We're all
Adam.
ready for you.
Can you see me and hear me?
Yes, we can. Fantastic.
Thank you. I was just saying, I was smiling a little there because of the long credentials in the introduction, but thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I really do feel honored and privileged to be here today. I'm going to talk, as Adam said, about the importance of go-to-market strategy and the value of strategic investment, both of which I believe are too often overlooked. And in particular, GTM strategy is really fundamental. So what does it mean? Why is it so important? And how do you develop your strategy? So as you know, my name is Ian Collins. I'm going to share some of my experiences through what has actually been a meandering career spanning nearly 5 decades. I hope at the end you'll be wiser and better equipped to avoid some of the pitfalls and mistakes that I've made, and importantly, build a more successful business. So I'd like to start back in 1980. By then, I'd had a summer job working with some really bright guys building, believe it or not, a discrete microprocessor. I'd worked for the BBC on the first computer-based news distribution system, and I'd run a recording studio in London, flirting with the stars there. That's another complete story. Then a buddy knocked on my door, and he asked me if I would leave the company I was working for and join him to set up a business. And actually, I jumped at the opportunity, even though I had a fantastic job at the time and great career prospects. What we were going to do is this. We were going to design a new modular recording system. We were going to set up a manufacturing plant and then build a sales and marketing operation. Now, interestingly, unlike so many startups and early stage businesses I see today, and I expect in the audience here, very similar, the business wasn't really about an idea and a vision that needed market validation and a big leap of faith to get going. Actually, it was quite the opposite, because my buddy knew the market inside out. He knew the competitors, the routes to market, the buyers, the best sales strategy, and so on. And actually, he came to the business, to me, with orders for that product which we were about to develop that would see us profitable in less than 18 months. You could say he had our go-to-market strategy completely nailed, and he did. So 2 years later, we had a great product. We started shipping units by the hundreds. We got rave reviews, orders were flying through the door, and everything was looking really good. And then we started to run out of money. Now, in those days, the investment ecosystem was really non-existent by comparison to today. And banks played a key role, and we were already at the limit of our bank lending. So we didn't have many options. And in the end, we ended up finding a buyer for the business. And it was a distressed sale, in fact. It meant we converted our ownership into a contract to work for another company, almost like back to square one. However, what was good, what was great, the brand carried forward. And of course, we weren't the millionaires we expected to be. So why did we run out of money? And I think there's some lessons here for us all. Firstly, the development took longer than anticipated. And, you know, when you do a forecast, multiply it by 2 and then multiply it by 2 again, build in some contingency. Manufacturing costs were much higher than forecast. Again, just build in that contingency and test your business plan with a lot of assumptions. And I think probably the biggest contribution to running out of cash is that we really weren't experienced guys when it came to finances. We were just ambitious. In fact, when it came to finances, we were really young, naive, and we were probably underfunded to start with anyway. So I think the lesson learned here is get the right team in place. We've all heard that. Get it in place or around you from the outset, but be brutally honest about what your core skills and competencies are. So don't fool yourself into you can do all of the jobs yourself. Keep looking for those advisors who've been there and done it. And on that point also, look for advisors that aren't just advisors in name. And of course, I mentioned go-to-market strategy, my buddy coming to the table with that. We wouldn't have got to where we did without that. So very important point there. So not to be deterred, I co-founded an AI business. It was the late 80s when AI was in truth still the preserve of the sci-fi world. So it was quite a bold move. The technology was limited. It was slow, mostly software based. And just to remind you, the first version of Windows was only just coming out. It's a long time ago. But we had an idea to incorporate AI into security sensors to improve accuracy and open up new intelligent applications. So we developed a plan. We raised angel investment. Interesting hearing the comments earlier on about that. We actually took about 9 months to raise investment. The people that invested, we met on day one. It took that long to get the whole thing up and running. Anyway, with the investment, we set about development. And then 2 things became very apparent. Firstly, the technology wasn't yet up to the job, not in the form we had envisaged. And secondly, it was going to be a mammoth task to build a new brand and compete effectively in an existing security market where there are already huge established players. Now, our investment pitch had been really very exciting, especially with the AI at the time, very futuristic, and the investors loved it. But actually what had happened is we had all got carried away with the technology, the sexiness of the technology. And we'd seen the world through the eyes of the technology and the product, not the consumer and the market. And actually looking back, it was obvious. What we should have done is taken our plan to one of the large security players who already had the customer base and the brand awareness and the routes to market and so on. Anyway, we didn't. So we had to morph. And our new strategy was to be a one-stop shop for everything AI. Consultancy, software development kits, hardware accelerators. And actually, we even designed our own neural instruction set processor. Our rationale was that we'd build a reputation for delivering AI solutions and become the go-to place for any corporate in need of a smart solution. So that sounds quite good, doesn't it? Actually, it wasn't bad and it did work to a point. But you see, what ended up happening is that we took on a diverse mix of applications across a lot of different sectors, and that worked to reinforce the one-stop approach. But we became jack of all trades and masters of none. So we didn't have critical mass in any one application area or sector. And in truth, we were a solution looking for a problem. And unfortunately, businesses don't put their hands up and say, here's a problem, we'd like to invite you in to solve it. So we decided to focus on a single sector, a single application where we could acquire deep sector and domain knowledge, and where everything we did would reinforce our core strength in that sector and therefore resonate really well with the next potential customer. And that's what the business did. It used one of the AI tool sets we developed to identify abnormal patterns and outliers in credit card and telecoms transactions. And we focused the approach that generated far better results by doing that. And the key takeaways for everyone here today, for me as well, nail your go-to-market strategy before you start executing. But of course, be prepared to change course if things don't work out as they planned. Next thing, focus on one thing or one application or one sector. Just focus, that's the key thing. Build your brand in that space before venturing out to do other things. Be aware also that being able to do lots of things for lots of potential customers can be positive, but also a big negative. Don't boil the ocean. It's a great expression. Okay, I've introduced elements of go-to-market strategy here, and you can see how early on, if we'd have taken a different, less risky and quicker route to market, it would have been better for us going with those third-party security companies. But also, had we gone for strategic investment with an investor who knew the sector, think what they might have done to bolster our plans and help us find the right partners. So to one of the comments earlier on about when you're looking for an angel investor, don't just look for money. Think about what else those investors bring to the table. Anyway, that was my first AI chapter. Spool forward several more years to 2002. In the intervening period, I bought a group of businesses from a FTSE 100 company. I'd done some turnaround work and some M&A. And get this, I also bought a security company that had that presence and reputation in the market. And yep, what we did is we added some intelligent functionality, launched a new range, built the business and sold it. Okay. At this point in time now, you'd find me in the senior management team of a new venture inside BT, British Telecom, listed company for those that don't know. Back then, BT had an internal corporate venturing arm, may still have, where staff with a solid idea and a big vision, and I mean big, telephone numbers, could get funding and resources. My venture had raised about 50 million in today's money, so not bad for a startup. The majority of that was for bringing NetSuite to the UK, a data center, 1,000-strong sales team, a BT SME channel, and a big bet on software as a service. The rest was for a very smart compliance solution targeted at legal firms. And it's here that I'd like to tell you a story. So this product was very smart, not only delivering compliance, but also saving time, improving work standards, reducing errors, and generally making office work more bearable. To test the market, we decided to talk to BT's in-house legal team, which was actually surprisingly large with contracts operating globally. The lawyers we spoke to really understood the solution. They got it, they liked it, but they didn't know how to go about evaluating or buying a solution. Of course, their expertise was in legal, not in those other things. And they certainly didn't have a budget. This was an IT issue. So we spoke to IT only to find a similar situation. They didn't have budget for speculative things like this, and it didn't fit inside an existing project or budget anywhere else. We did speak to HR, same story. They liked it, they could see the value, but they had no real remit to get involved or responsibility. And that was it, up and down the entire food chain, and we couldn't find an owner. Now, I think things would be very different these days because of the proliferation of transformation projects driven by cloud and digital, but not then. And by the way, this whole experience made us realize that we'd probably encounter the same challenges with the law firms we're about to target. Anyway, we analyzed the problem, multiple stakeholders, each with a role to play in building a business case, each with different needs and no identified budget holder. I think we must have been quite mad doing this in retrospect. Anyway, it was clear we needed a sponsor, and ideally always with a sponsor, somebody high up with clout. We also realized that our sales pitch was very compliance focused. With multiple stakeholders, of course, what you need is multiple value propositions that align carefully with those people, stakeholders, the HR angle, the productivity angle, the finance angle, and so on. And finally, and this is really interesting, we needed a way of shoehorning the compliance solution into an existing budget or an existing project. So you can see, even from the inside, we struggled. Now imagine doing that from the outside looking in. So if anyone here today has a line in their business plan that involves selling to corporates, or indeed, I think channels come to that, that's quite similar as well. I wholeheartedly recommend that you do your own tests, because it's only when you know what the exact challenges are, as we found out, and it's only when you've worked out how to address them that you can meaningfully decide your routes to market and your sales strategy and how to articulate the value proposition, your differentiation strategy, and so on. And actually, in truth, this last point applies whether you're selling to a corporate or a consumer or a freelancer or an SME or government or whatever. You must know your customer. It's pretty obvious, isn't it? Anyway, on that point, I'd like to context this by taking a look through a different lens. It's now 2016. In the intervening period, I built a tech consultancy. I've sold my software development business. I've started 2 SaaS companies. I've been involved in raising several million in investment. And I've partnered with a global agency to bring a social publishing platform to market. I'm also a non-exec director. I do some mentoring on various accelerator programs. And I have a few investments in which I'm active. And because I'm in that space, I'm receiving well over 50 pitch decks a month. Now, I'd like you just to hang on to that thought. Sprawl forward a few more years to 2022. I'm still doing much of the same, but now I have an additional role. I'm part of a consulting business that helps scale up tech companies expand internationally. And in fact, over the last 6 years, we've helped 5,000 of those companies do exactly that. And interestingly, most of them are looking for money. Money always features. But look, here's the rub. Whether it's startups from 2016 or scale-ups from 2022, the majority get a couple of things badly wrong. And I'm going to explain that, and I'd like you to listen very carefully to this. Firstly, most view the world through the lens of the technology or product, when what we need is the lens of the consumer and the market. So check your deck later. Make sure you're not falling into that trap. Give yourself one slide for the tech and the product, no more. Remember, that deck is to wow the investor into wanting to find out more. Think of it like a CV. You don't get the job unless you get the interview, and that CV is all about getting the interview. The next common issue is I see so often forecasts that are predicated on largely thin air, and it goes something like this. In year 1, we'll sell 50 units at a discounted price in order to get a foothold in the market. And by the way, that forecast is very conservative. Then in year 2, we will add 5 guys to the sales team, which will enable us to reach 400 sales a month in year 2. And in year 3, we will expand internationally. We'll be profitable, we'll have a good cash flow and a massive return on investment. So I bet there's a few forecasts like this in the audience, and quite rightly, our decks, our opportunity needs to be exciting. But what's missing from that? I tell you, it's the how. How are you going to achieve that forecast? Just because you have a great product doesn't mean it will happen on its own. Think about it, actually. It's the wrong way round. You don't start with a forecast, you start with a strategy and then plan out the execution. And once you've done that, you can create a forecast. And it's that strategy which is so often missing. Now, another missed opportunity, and again, very common, is to fail to consider the investor's perspective adequately. Remember our core BT stakeholders, each with different needs and interests. It's exactly the same principle with investors. You can reach dumb money with exciting perpetual motion machines and mouth-watering returns, but those same arguments will fail with a seasoned tech investor. You can get hands-on or hands-off investment. Each comes with pros and cons, with different impacts to your business. And you can get strategic investment with value add, like access to in-house development resources and market specialists. So it comes down to having an investment strategy that you can go find the best investor that aligns with. Now, look, I'm running out of time. So I'd just like to say, I know you guys are ambitious. You're reaching for the stars. You're looking for to become the next unicorn. What I'd really like to say is, whilst you're going about that, I'll leave you with the thought: develop a robust, well thought through go-to-market strategy and test it out. Make sure your forecasts are predicated on more than thin air and that your value props are on point. And by the way, think a segment of one. And finally, make the most of strategic investment potential, because there's a lot of paradigms out there. I wish you good luck and thank you for listening.
Oh, wow. So inspiring, so much information. Thank you so much, Ian. I'd have so many questions, but as you've pointed out, there's not enough time in the world. So thank you so much again. And we'll just have to move forward.
My pleasure. Sorry for running over there.
All right, then. Well, thank you, everyone. I've learned quite a lot, but like I've said, we need to move on for now. So let us do that right now, because building a startup is, as you probably know, or some of you may know, it's quite a lot of work. But because of their passion, or your passion possibly, and responsibility to investors, a lot of startup founders are, well, happy to work flat out, which can easily lead to burnout. Now, that's why our next keynote speech is titled "How Not to Burn Out Building a Startup: Lessons Learned from a Burnout Founder." We have Mr. LinkedIn Estonia himself to deliver this speech. In 2014, his team, Sorry as a Service, attended 2 different startup accelerators, including Techstars London. They almost went bankrupt a couple of times, actually, but in the middle of 2019, he sold the company and turned a nice profit, as I understand. Today, he likes to facilitate the development and growth of people and companies. So it's my pleasure to welcome here Indrek Poldve. Hello, hello.
Hello. Thank you for the introduction. Yeah,
I'm
I think the sound and
excited to hear
everything.
from you. So I'll be quiet and let you speak.
Thank you so much. And it's great to be here. And also, I'm very happy that I was invited here. And yeah, the burnout and the mental health, everything that I take it quite seriously. So I begin with my own story. So why I speak about it, because 2017, basically, or 18, I wanted to basically commit suicide. And the reason was that I was crazily overworked. As they mentioned, we went with our team to 2 different startups. In 6 months, this period happened. And in 6 months, we got mentored by over 150 mentors in 6 month time. So you can imagine the knowledge we had and the feedbacks and etc etc etc, but we still didn't perform well. We thought we didn't perform. And the problem with accelerators in my mind, and also with the investors, they are all amazing people, but the problem that I faced was the expectations were so high that everybody expected us to become a unicorn or a billion-dollar company or etc etc. And we felt these expectations, and my why I went to this burnout, and why I felt so bad was basically because when you are inside a startup, you don't feel like you are succeeding. It's like because we are our own worst enemies, and even if you get some success, most of us, we don't celebrate it. We just continue, and that was also with us and with me. And it's really people say it's lonely in the top, but it's also lonely in the bottom. So that was the case in my mind. And my parents and most of my friends actually never are not entrepreneurs, and they actually don't understand the entrepreneur journey or the startup journey, that Monday you get a customer and on Friday you're basically filed for bankruptcy because the customer had other thoughts or whatever. So everything happens in 3 to 4 days or a couple of weeks. So having somebody to talk about it, it's actually extremely crucial. But I didn't have anybody, or I didn't how can I say, I felt embarrassed to talk about these things, because it's not normal to talk about your feelings or talk about like I don't know what to do. So that was the mindset 2017 2018 when I was part of the startup. What kept me going was actually what the other presenter also told you, is the passion, the optimism of the startup. Like, yes, it's amazing. And my daily routine then was that basically I woke up, I had my breakfast, I went to work in the startup for until 4 or 5 in the evening, and then after 4 or 5 I drove Uber for 2 or 3 hours to also get some payment. And then at 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening, I got home, and then I was so tired I didn't want to do anything. So that was basically the whole week. And the weekends I was also so tired I didn't want to do anything, because all the mental stress I had. And accelerators and people talk about it a little bit. You need to take care of your mental health and etc. But not actually. I haven't seen a lot of programs that actually make you do the steps. And this is why I also told Micah that this is a topic that I would really love to talk about, because it's there is no company in the world where the sacrifice of your mental or physical health makes sense. So there is keep that in mind, that your mental and physical health is the number one thing in the world. Because if you are mentally so to say not healthy, or you don't think positive and everything is bad, then trust me, it's really difficult to build a company. The same is with your physical health. I gained about 12 to 15 kilograms in 2 years, and physically I was not in shape. So also less energy, less these things, and these things I really don't recommend, because it's really easy to get lost in the busy time. So I have a couple of points that I wrote down that I just wanted to share my story, that I know where you guys are coming from, and I understand that in startups the pressure is on you, but the pressure is mostly built by yourself. So we are our own worst enemies. And the thing that is number one, and this is priority, that I really tell all the founders, and this is why investors and angel investors invest in you. It's because of the founders, and you as a founder need to take care of yourself first. You are the number one, not the company, not your people, not your relationships. You are number one, because the better care you take of yourself, your physical and mental health, the better care you can take of your friends, of your family, of your company, the better, so to say, mindset you have. There are a few practices that I recommend. So I started the last 4 or 5 years. I do how I overcome this mindset, the burnout, was a gratitude journal. So Google gratitude journal, etc. Write down the last 4 or 5 years. I have been writing down almost every day 3 things that I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my eyes. I'm grateful for my ears. I'm grateful for my legs, and etc. These small things, we think these are small things, but actually they are not so small. There are so many people who don't have arms, who don't have legs. Look at Ukraine, what's happening there. People are losing their homes, and etc. Be very, very, very grateful for you having these things. So, and keep reminding yourself that you do. What happens with that, if you do that kind of training, is if you're grateful for the things you have in your life, you achieve everything you want. But if you are not grateful the things you have, you will lose absolutely everything you have in your life, because there is always a bigger mountain. There is always something new to conquer. So be grateful what you have. So keep that in mind. And if that is not your thing, then other thing that I recommend for everybody, have daily walks, 10 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes. Start your mornings. You never feel badder or when you have a walk or you run or whatever the activities that you do, you never feel worse. So you will always feel better. So that's point number 1, that always take care of yourself. This is the number 1 priority that I have learned in my life. And right now, there is nothing more important than in my life. For example, do I go to the gym, or do I have a meeting with my colleagues? I go to the gym and then I have a meeting with my colleagues. It's a priority, because if I go to the gym, I feel better, I feel healthier, and then I have much better mood to meet with my colleagues or meet the investors and or etc. etc. Priorities can change, but I hope that this priority never change in your life, because you are the reason why this startup exists, why this company exists, and you are number 1 reason why investors invest in you. So keep yourself healthy. The second point is, you will whatever you do in a startup, whenever you start, even a company, you will make mistakes. Deal with it. These are not mistakes, these are experiments. You will every day, you will experiment, you will do something, you will learn. All the other what Ian mentioned and the previous talks that I had, you will always learn. The investors that I have talked about, why they invest in startups, is again, they invest in founders, because if the startup is a seed stage or early stage, they know that the idea you have today will not be the idea that will make you a unicorn or a 100 million startup. You will experiment, you will fail, you will learn. The reason is, keep that in mind. Don't, so to say, be negative about it. Oh, we failed. Also, the first customers, basically, you will lose them anyway. It doesn't mean that you don't care about them. You really need to care and really keep the relationship going. But in the beginning, you also do not know what you're doing. You are experimenting a lot. Just make sure that you are learning from those experiments, that you know what you did, that you need to do different in the future. I would say forget the word the failure and replace it with the word experiments. You are experimenting every single day. 1 month ago, my company B2B Growth, we are doing LinkedIn for 2 months or 2 years, and we are the best in our field. I know that, but I lose 2 customers in 1 week. And it was a very depressing week. So I changed from last month. I also changed like 70 to 80% of how I sell, what do I sell, and how to approach customers. I changed it. It was an experiment. I dealt with it. I lost to these 2 customers. I lost like 6 to 7K MRR. It's totally fine, because I know that from those lessons, I can build up and I can do in 1 year 60 or 70K MRR thanks to these mistakes. And I will do these mistakes in the future more and more, but I will always learn. I will always improve. And this is what matters. So don't stress about it. You will make mistakes, deal with it, and just move forward and keep on learning. So that's another thing, because having these mistakes on your head that, oh shit, we made a mistake and what do we do now? Nothing, it happens. Just make sure you learn from them, and it is totally fine to make the same mistake once, maybe twice, but not more. Then you have a problem in your hand. That's rule number 2. And I know I'm running out of time soon, but the number 3 thing, what I want to emphasize is, it's not the part of it helps you not to also to burn out. But the number 3rd rule is, never stop selling. Never ever stop selling. An average product or average service with an amazing marketing and sales outperforms everything than even if you have an amazing product and no sales, no marketing. So what I have seen with a lot of startup founders and mistakes, that you think that we will need to get the software perfect, or you need to have like everything needs to be perfect, then it's already too late to sales. So what Ian was also mentioning, the PTs and all these big companies, it takes about 6 to 12 months, even if they say that, okay, I'm interested today, let's start a negotiation. With B2B sales, it takes about 6 to 12 months to close them, even if they say we need it today. And it's always better to have more customers than you can handle than having none customers. This was one of the main reasons why I burned out, because we didn't have enough customers. And I was head of sales in Sorry as a Service, and I felt really, really responsible, and it ate me up a lot. So never stop selling. For example, you guys can see my name. Find me on LinkedIn. For end of the week, you guys can approach me. I will do a half an hour consultancy for free for sales, how to use LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is most of your people's main channel that you need to use. And the speech you will get today from LinkedIn, very carefully listen it. It is definitely one of the most crucial things you need to do, and you need to start there already, because building a personal brand helps you a lot. Because, for example, if this startup doesn't work out, but all the amazing connections you're making here, and I know that with Michael and all the other people you're meeting here, all the angel investors, they will invest in you again if you build these relationships, you're being authentic, and you show you can perform, and also that you take care of yourself. So it takes about 2 to 3 years to come out of a burnout, and that means 2 to 3 years you don't work a lot, and you need to take care of yourself. So whatever habit you will start using yourself, is it daily walks, is it a gratitude journal, maybe both of them, maybe you do a meditation, what doesn't matter what you do, as long as you do it. If you do it 5 minutes a day, it's better than 0 minutes a day. So again, like, don't be too harsh on yourself. And again, everything you build is thanks to you and your team. Then that is the really, really, really good point. And again, never stop selling. Again, find me on LinkedIn, approach me. I will make also a discount, and you have a half an hour for free consultancy about how we can publish or do with your LinkedIn. That's the thing. Never stop selling. It doesn't matter. Even if you don't get anyone bites, at least you are honest, and you are telling what you do. And as founders, if you are a technical founder, if you are a product, it doesn't matter who you are, you need to sell. The founders need to sell first, but it only can happen if you take care of yourself. So don't be afraid of it. Tell them what you want, how you want. Just be polite, don't be annoying, and everything happens. And this will definitely keep you from burning out, because if you have customers, because sales is the only thing that will bring in money to your company. Yes, the investments do also, but sales is something that all the investors want to see. There are always exceptions that sometimes you need to build technology first, etc., etc. But I can say you this much, that when we started Sorry as a Service, we also built a software, but we delivered, so to say, handmade goods and stuff. The first iteration was that I was driving in Tallinn. We had the first order in Excel sheets. I picked up all the orders and took the orders and everything by myself. So you can do a lot of things manually. In the beginning, you need to do things that don't scale. So these are my 3 points that I wanted to share with you. So the number 1 was that take care of yourself, because the better care you can take of yourself, the better you can take care of your family, your relationships, and your company, and all these things. You are number 1, the priority. So keep that in mind always. Number 2 is you will make mistakes, and replace the word mistakes by experiments. You're experimenting every day. Just keep in mind, you need to write down the learnings, and you need to see how you can improve next time. And the third thing, never ever stop selling. Selling is the most crucial part. It's one of the most difficult parts. And with sales is, if you get enough sales and if you get the money in, trust me, you can hire all the help you need. So delegate a lot, but again, sales is the crucial number one thing that you need to do. So again, that's it from me. You can find me. You can write my name in LinkedIn. You can find me. You can approach me, and happy to answer any questions. That's it.
Thank you for this inspirational presentation. I loved it. Never stop selling. Never stop selling. I loved it. We have one question for you, which is, do you think you can prevent burnout, or do you think you need to experience it first in order to take it seriously?
No, it's a very good question, to be honest. I think, yeah, you can, if you know what burnout is, or you have, you get the feeling like, and what does burnout mean is that you don't want to do the things you do normally day, and etc. etc. You see that if you need to do it or you want to do it. So this is the difference how you feel if you're burned out. But if you feel that, then you need to break. But in Estonia, that what I see, and also in my mind, you need to experience it first, then you get, then you take it seriously, because most people say, yeah, that's it. But if it happens to you and you see that you are pushing through, and I think I was burned out like 2 or 3 years before I really finalized it, that, okay, this is not a way that is possible to move forward. And I was in the worst part of my life. I needed to take a step back and start to rebuilding my life. So, but right now I can tell you this has been one of the best experiences in my life. But I can tell you in hindsight, after 4 or 5 years, that's the case.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you so much. I have so many more questions, but I think we have to move on. I'm sorry. So Thank you so much for your time. I'll keep that in heart. I promise I won't stop selling. I promise.
Perfect.
All right.
Take care of yourself.
Take care. You too. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, and I also wanted to mention that we have a presentation that may pop up on screen that is relevant to Ian's previous keynote speech from Michael, as you can see. So this is not in regard to Indrek's speech, but we wanted to show that. As you can see, thanks for advice, Jan. I think it's crucial to share best practices. We found our angel is investor, I assume, during one networking event full of founders. Share experience, socialize, do not sit in your office, go out and make things happen, I presume. Thank you, Michael, so much for that comment. And I think with that out of the way, we're ready to move on because we're nearing another part, perhaps one of the main parts of today's event, actually, which is a panel discussion on results, lessons learned, and good practices of building co-investments through the CE Connector ACIV initiative. Now we know what CE Connector ACIV means, so that's fantastic. But before we can start, please allow me to introduce our two esteemed panelists. We have Aleš Pustovrch from Slovenia and Sieglinde Waltz from Germany, or Waltz. Now, Dr. Aleš Pustovrch is a teacher and a researcher of entrepreneurship at the University of Ljubljana in Slovenia. He's also been working with startups for more than 10 years, mostly in Slovenia, Italy, and Croatia. He's one of the founders of the ABC Accelerator in Slovenia and a partner at Phil Rouge Capital Venture Capital Fund in Croatia. He's established 5 companies so far and failed with one of them. And it was with this failed one when he actually learned the most about entrepreneurship. Now, Sieglinde Waltz is the managing director at AEN, which is the Automotive Engineering Network, which is a neutral non-profit institution in Germany that bundles together relevant expert knowledge, especially for small and medium-sized enterprises, but also startups, so that they can successfully implement their innovations. Now, together with their member companies, AEN wants to help develop new perspectives, promote trust in regional partners, and ensure equal opportunities. They focus mainly on innovative mobility solutions, engineering, AI, and the transformation of the automotive industry. I hope I get that right. Hello, Sieglinde and Alish. Welcome.
Thank you, Adam, for the introduction. Hello, good morning to everybody.
Hello, Adam. Hello, Sieglinde.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Did I get everything correct, or were there any mistakes? Feel free to correct me or add on to it.
Well done.
All right, with that out of the way, I'll leave you to it. I believe you have some words of wisdom for us. I can't wait to hear them.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. We agreed that I'm going to start, ladies first, of course. No, I'm pleased to represent the two partners of Germany today, which is the AEN, Automotive Network, and the city of Karlsruhe, and to discuss with you and with Alesh the results of our project CE Connector. Let's see, I will go through my presentation following the three questions. Which startups have we co-invested in Germany? What was the process? What about the lessons learned? Have we got some lessons learned? Yes, we have. And what are our plans for the future? So let me introduce a little bit the AEN. AEN is a non-profit cluster organization existing for about 4 years. We focus on mobility and engineering and artificial intelligence, and we would like to drive innovative mobility solutions forward and to transform the automotive industry, which is a big topic in our region with 20,000 people employed in the automotive industry. We focus on coaching startups and SMEs, and so we got into this project CE Connector. The other partner of Karlsruhe is the city of Karlsruhe, which is our public provider with in-kind contribution, and especially their unit of innovation and international affairs and economic development was in the project. And this afternoon you will get to know Steffen Buhl, who will attend the panel discussions as well. The economic department has got a strong focus on startup development, and they do a lot of in-kind contribution for startups, giving them, for example, access to offices and connecting them with research institutes, universities, and projects. So the two of us tried to do investments in the German market, and we are quite happy that we have been able to manage 1.5 million investments in 3 deals. I will show you the deal of Equal To, because this is sort of the best I can show you what the German market is up to. So Equal To is a self-service software as a service application. It's all about customizable commission plans, yeah, in the sales company. So the total investment was 620,000 euros. Private out of that was 460. And the public investment was done by the state bank. And this is very special in Germany, that almost every county has got a state bank. And this is the L Bank Baden-Württemberg. There you can apply a startup for getting public investment. And it's not very difficult to reach 50,000 euros as a pre-seed funding. To get 160,000 like Equal To did is a little bit a more bigger challenge. Yeah? The deal was prepared by 1 lead angel, I'll come to that later, and 6 individual business angels. And it took us about 6 months for all those steps, which I will show you now. So from the first initial screening, which started in December, where the pitch deck was distributed to the business angels, then the lead angel organized a meeting asking the business angels if they want to do an investment. Then the investment committee of the lead angel had to say yes. And then there were 3 meetings of the individual business angels and the startup to discuss the future funding strategy, the go-to-market strategy, the business case, that sort of stuff. And then the contract negotiations, whereas to be clear, each startup, each business angel had its own contract with the startup. So the deal could be closed then in May, which was a great job for everybody so far. If we look to the public investment process, as I said, there is almost in every state bank a program for early startups. The other two deals we did had their public investment with the Investitionsbank Berlin. They have got a program called Berlin Start. So each startup sort of knows where to go to get an investment. This was not our job then to bring together the public and the private, totally two different approaches and two process steps. So if we look to the nice chart, which shows about Germany, the ASIF, you see that the lead angel is sort of organizing everything with the business angels. The contracts are done individually. And on the left-hand side, you see, let's say, the public providing situation. The city of Karlsruhe is in-kind contribution partner for startups, like I said, office support. There are accelerator training programs in Germany, like Axel for energy startups in Karlsruhe, very famous. And if you want to really have the public financing situation and funding, then you have to go to the state banks. Yeah? So our original start about the ASIF in Central Europe changed a little bit because we as facilitator, IAN and knowledge partner did not have to negotiate the contracts, which was originally planned between the public and the private investors. So this step hopefully will not happen in Germany again, because I think it's a very quick approach if we can go parallel. So when you ask where did our, let's say, startup funnel coming from? Yeah, I'm from the sales in the past, and I'm always caring about the sales funnel. So we really made our way and said, well, why don't we do a Future Mobility Award with a lot of applications so we can scan them? This is what we did for the last 3 years. I'm coming to that. We went to congresses, either as speakers, or we had, let's say, participation as virtual exhibitors, making us more known in the area and getting the contacts into the ecosystems and through our members. So what I can recommend is it's well worth inviting business angels and accelerators into your advisory group. This worked very well in the German market because they were even keen to be in the jury of the Future Mobility Award. And they were even keen to go with us as virtual exhibitors. So please don't think about a difficult situation with other accelerators. We found that it's best to cooperate. So therefore, we took part even in demo days of other accelerators, and they joined us. So this was a very good situation where we could sort of make us in the ecosystem Karlsruhe stronger together. The Mobility Award, which we did now for 3 years, was a hard job in doing because right from the beginning, we achieved 25 applications each year, which we had to scan. The positive thing was that the award pricing was not the topic they went for. It was the marketing more. It was to make them visible, the startups. So I can recommend each startup do it because being in the press is very important, and to get a very good quoting is important as well. And for us, it was a very good funnel for mobility investments, yeah, and to show ourselves in the demo days. What we found is very difficult if you have to scan so many startups in a very short time, if they all come by their own presentations. So we said, okay, we have to optimize the screening process. And somebody told me there is Guy Kawasaki, a very famous investor, and he gave this rule out: 10 slides, 20 minutes, and you have to use in PowerPoint the 430. and in English, and then you have very structured presentations you can run through more quickly than ever. So this is a very good instrument to become more effective. Regarding the business angel situation in Germany, this is something we found which is not too nice. Yeah, we found a lot of German business angels in our ecosystem, Karlsruhe, which are senior entrepreneurs of medium-sized companies looking for investment for the next generation, yeah, for the children. Or to diversify. And what we really got as a quote was, we search for startups within the radius of 50 kilometers from our home base and not more. So from the beginning, we had this idea that transnational investments is not the topic of elder business angels. They are quite reluctant to become known in public. They didn't want to give us the email addresses. They were very reluctant to go into unknown topics, which they don't know, and the territory I've just talked about. What we then found out is, if you go for younger junior business angels, they are highly interested, but they are only interested in IT and deep tech, and they want to have an exit, let's say, in 3 years' time. But they are willing to go into the investment with, let's say, a smaller amount of money, let's say 25,000 euros, and to take a higher risk. So I think ideally we should have a mixture out of the senior and the junior ones. This would be the best. Or we have to organize it via, let's say, a venture capital company. So that's the second thing we found out. Younger business angels seem to organize themselves in groups already, or syndicates. If there is a venture capital company approaching them in an effective way, doing the initial preparation, and is happy to act as a lead angel, you will be happy to find enough younger business angels to invest. To, let's say, make a group out of 3 senior business angels is not possible. This is what I found out. The older ones follow their own contracts, their own ideas, their own advisors, so they are not happy to do anything like cooperation. So let's say it would be good in the future that we can do, let's say, investments around mobility and energy and those topics. What we found is our 3 investments are only IT now, database structured, which is fine, but it would have been perfect if we had managed to do something in the energy and the mobility sector as well. The public investment, which is in the ASIF of hopefully 25% and more, is not very realistic. Let's say between 10 and 25%, this is something you could expect as a startup. And you have to know that the rate at the moment of startups that end up in an investment is 1 to 15. Yeah. So keep going, don't give up as a startup, and try to find the right business angels. Yeah. So it was good that we met a lot with these startups, and we offer them a few things, that we have frequent contact, because frequent contact helps to build trust. So we gave even our IAN office for free for meetings, for workshops with investors. We trained them, and with the pitches, we checked the pitch decks. We even helped with marketing support, for example, a company video. So think about what can you do to offer the startups to interact with you as business angel, and that there will be a good relationship and an intense relationship for the future. So what will we do in future? Of course, we want to open up for other segments like AI or engineering and health. We are looking for additional financial support in Germany. We would like to have a new funding scheme, maybe a citizen fund, something like that, because I think only the state banks is not enough. And we would like to intensify, of course, the cooperation with our accelerators, which we have had so far, and this is very well working. And we will conduct in future the Future Mobility Award, and we even think about other awards, because this is a very easy and well-known pipeline for startups. And it helps the marketing as well. So we will keep our office open for investor meetings, for the startups. And of course, we will do some CE Connected demo days nationally and internationally. And this is where we would like to invite you in future. So come up, meet us, and maybe we can do some investments together. So I'm happy to answer your questions later. Feel free to contact me anytime. I'm happy to help in the future if there are deals coming up. So Aleš, what about Slovenia, and did anything of those topics meet you in Slovenia as well, or hit you in the last 3 years?
Well, thanks a lot, Zeglinde. It was very interesting. I'm pretty sure to say that Slovenia is not like Germany, so I think that the challenges that we are facing here were quite different. We're trying to answer the same questions. Which startups and what did we learn from this whole process? To start, I think it is important to understand that there are two partners in Slovenia. One is a private company facilitating investments between startups and investors, and the second one is the Technology Park, which is a public organization in Ljubljana, the capital of Slovenia. What we were able to do was we were able to add two additional public organizations. The Slovenian Enterprise Fund is the biggest provider of public support to startups in Slovenia. It has a number of interesting grant and equity arrangements, and the Center for Creativity is a new one offering early stage support and financing to new startups in the creative sector. So essentially, these are the four partners that we are working in Slovenia to facilitate the connections between startups and the investors. Now, the two main public support organizations here were Slovenian Enterprise Fund, which has a number of interesting calls and a number of interesting opportunities. The most interesting one, I guess, is the public co-investment scheme, where if startups can gather private investors of between 100,000 to 600,000 euros, the government would actually put in the same amount of money. So it's a matching fund scheme, and if you are able to raise 100,000 euros, then you get another 100,000 euros. It's very interesting because there is not a lot of interest from startups for this in Slovenia. In our opinion, that's resulting from lack of private investors here. The Technology Park Ljubljana is offering quite a lot of in-kind support, and actually some startups prefer to use that kind of support, but the total value of this is actually smaller. It is interesting, and that was one takeaway we got, is that some startups that are able to raise money from private investors would prefer to avoid getting additional public financial investment, but they are open to public in-kind investments. We have completed 2 deals so far, and we are planning to complete the 3rd deal in the next couple of weeks. But one deal in particular is the one that we would like to use as a template for the future. It's this one called B2B. It's a startup originally from Serbia, but they have an open company and open headquarters in Croatia, mostly because they prefer this to have a headquarters in the European country. It helps them in their sales process. And of course, now we are connecting them, and we have successfully connected them with Slovenian business angels. So it's kind of a Yugoslavia all over again. The deal was quite interesting because B2B is a startup which is already growing quite fast. It's a B2B productivity software tool, and we started the whole discussions on a presentation in February of this year. And investors, the business angels that were present there, they confirmed their interest immediately after the demo day, and had another presentation a month after that. Following the second one-on-one presentation with this startup, the decision was to go on with the due diligence process, open a data room with all the data, and this due diligence process was basically concluded with a final decision for an investment that was done by the Slovenian business angels at the end of May, so essentially 3 months ago. Term sheet and the convertible loan agreement were sent between the two parties and confirmed. And right now the investment is being completed. The special purpose vehicle company is being established this week, so the investment will be completed with the signing now in June. The total value of this investment will be around 75,000, distributed between 7 business angels in Slovenia. They are pretty equal. I wouldn't say that one of them is the lead investor, although one of them will be the principal for this particular investment. And the startup actually got additional 50,000 confirmed as a public co-investment instrument in Serbia, as well as an in-kind support from another technology park in Zagreb, Croatia. So this was an international deal, and both private and public investors were there. The most interesting part for us was actually trying to secure the private investment in Slovenia, because realistically there is a significant lack of business angels in Slovenia. And the way how we went upon this is that we created a new organization called Club 20, which is basically a club of 20 new business angels, each of them committing to invest at least 10,000 euros per year each into startups. This makes the investment capacity of this club at 200,000 euros per year. And the decision and the general arrangement is that we will make 2 investments every year, so 100,000 investment per startup per year. And to match this with co-investment scheme, either the one in Slovenia or any other scheme, meaning that each startup can get additional financial support on top of this private investment. So essentially, we can, with a private investment of 200,000 euros gathered among 20 business angels, we can facilitate an investment of a total of 400,000 euros to 2 startups per year. The club is actually organizing everything from the scouting process, the demo day presentations or quarterly demo day presentations, to the whole deal processing and structuring, as well as dealing with the administration and the reporting. This is important because this kind of an investment syndicate did not exist before in Slovenia, so this directly contributes to the investment capacity of the Slovenian startup ecosystem or investment ecosystem. And I believe this is the key element of Slovenian ASIV, because it is tackling the most pressing problem, the lack of private investors. While it is not a co-investment fund in itself, it is an investment syndicate, but it will have a very much direct effect here. And interestingly, these startups are open for international investments. As I mentioned, the template deal that we'll try to copy at least twice a year is actually a startup from Serbia registered in Croatia. So what we've learned here is that the main issue in Slovenia is the lack of private investment capacity, and for business angels, they really don't like to do a lot of work, so they need somebody that's going to bring them startups, present them to them, but also to just lead them throughout the whole process, from the beginning until the end. As you can see, the whole process in the template deal is already taking 5 months, which is more than we would like to do it in the future, but it is not unexpected. And finally, of course, public leverage providers in Slovenia have difficulties dispersing the matching funds scheme that they have created, so for them this is very interesting. They are getting more startups utilizing the public funds available. As mentioned, the future challenges here are to keep working with the same pace of 2 investments every year, and to really operationalize the whole structure of this investment syndicate. The most pressing question here is how to make it sustainable. There are certain costs involved right now that are being covered by the CA Connector project. In the future, this investment syndicate will most likely take equity stakes in the companies that it will be supporting. So it will basically be rewarded once those startups succeed. That is all from my side for the moment, but as you can see, the Slovenian experience was very much different to German one.
Wow, that is quite a big difference. Thank you for sharing. We'll wait a second for Sieglinde to connect back in.
I am connected.
Hopefully it won't take super long.
No, I'm here. Hi.
Give it a few more goes. But perhaps before we can get connected, I'd have a question for you, Aleš, which is, why do you think there are so few angel investors in Slovenia?
Well, thanks a lot, Adam. I mean, that's a really good question. The question that we are asking ourselves a lot.
What's going on?
Yeah, let's be clear. I mean, what we are expecting from business angels here is that they invest 10,000 euros a year. So that's not a huge amount of money. And I would claim that quite a lot of people or even companies in Slovenia actually have that. In my opinion, it's just this general lack of understanding that startups can actually be a viable investment opportunity. I think that probably the total business angel number in the whole country is maybe 30, 40 business angels, no more than that. And essentially, by creating this investment syndicate, we added additional 20 business angels. And in my opinion, in the future, there will be many more joining this, because they will see that this is, it can be quite successful. Of course, now we need some more role models. We need some startups to succeed and create a financial return for the business angels.
I see. Thank you so much. Welcome back, Sieglinde. Happy to see you again. And I'll have one question for you, which was something that I was thinking of during your presentation. Why is the city of Karlsruhe better for mobility startups than, let's say, any other place?
Okay. The city of Karlsruhe is the spot in Germany who has a lot of universities, with a strong focus on the topic of autonomous driving. You remember that Carl Benz, who founded Mercedes-Benz, is out of the area here. So therefore, we have a very strong mobility history for about more than 100 years. But I think it is the field, the test field of autonomous driving, which makes us very famous. We have those innovative shuttles who do autonomous driving of passengers. So therefore, we want to make sure that sort of apart from smart production, which is one other topic, or the Cyber Forum IT, for example, the mobility topic should be, let's say, strengthened in the area. There is one fair every 2 years, which is called IT Trans, which is a very good mobility fair worldwide, and people gather together in Karlsruhe to discuss mobility. So therefore, we would like to keep the startups after their university exams, and not to let them move to Stuttgart, where Porsche is, where Bosch is, where Daimler is, or to go to Munich, where BMW is, or they go to Wolfsburg, where Volkswagen is. So this is our problem. We lose the best ones. And therefore, Karlsruhe is very interested to help them stay here.
I see. I have so many more questions, but I want to remind our audiences that they can ask their questions as well. Just write them down in the comment section, and I'll forward them to our panelists, to our guests. So, why do you think those students that you've mentioned should stay in Karlsruhe then?
Yeah, because Karlsruhe is a nice place. It is sort of at the Rhine Valley. It's next to the Black Forest, so it's nice living here in the area. It's not far to Frankfurt, where the airport is, where you can go for holidays, or Stuttgart, for example. So it's nice living here, and I think the brain is here. The brain in the university. We've got the University of Applied Science. We've got the Technical University, KIT, which is very famous. So you should come and try. Just visit Karlsruhe, and you'll find it's a good place.
I have to say, I want to try to take a ride in those autonomous passenger buses or vehicles.
Which is perfect, yeah. And right next to Karlsruhe is France. I mean, we are living right next to the border. So if you want to experience French, you can do this as well. Yeah, just 20 kilometers over
Well,
the Rhine.
I'm convinced.
Okay,
Let's see
Adam.
if anyone,
So
if any of the
see you here.
students.
Yeah.
All right, all right. Now the next question is really for the both of you, because Sieglinde, you mentioned that some of the investors, some of the senior investors are a bit more geographically conservative, let's say, in Germany. And Alish mentioned that there are not that many angels at all in Slovenia. So the question is it, or do you feel like it's a common thing that business angels are, well, let's say, geographically constricted or geographically conservative?
I was very astonished, to be honest, because we invited business angels to our first advisory board meeting. And we discussed the ASIF approach and it's what we wanted to do. And then we found sort of this restraint of going Europe, or not even going east, but it was going Europe, or out of my box, and of course I can understand that if there is an entrepreneur, he has worked a lot of hard years. Now he has got his business, he thinks about diversification or what about doing for the next generation, and he wants to have everything under control. And if you want to have something under control, you have to be near to the business. And near to the business, people think or thought before the pandemic, it has to be in presence, I think now it changed, because if you see about our deals, we did not meet once with our startups. It was all virtually, and the pandemic, I think, helped a lot to find out that although we don't sit now in one room, we still, the three of us, can have a discussion.
Right.
And we can discuss personal things, and you can have the control over the startup if you want to. So I think this might help in future, opening up the mind of the people, saying, why don't we invest? Let's go Netherlands, let's go France, or I mean, I was really happy out of those 25 applications for the Future Mobility Award. We had 8 coming from very different countries. There was Israel, there was Ireland, we had Estonia, we had France, we had Spain. So I think they even understood that it makes sense to apply for an award in Germany. So I think we have to go more Europe to open our minds up. And this is for the business angels as well. Maybe I think the next generation will not think like that, because they are not so much this under control by meeting in presence.
Adam, if I may add here, I think that one question that business angels are struggling with is how active should they be with their startups? In general, if you invest 10,000 euros, then you're basically expected not to be active in that startup. But a lot of business angels are struggling with this. And if they want, and I see that the same thing in Slovenia, if they really want to guide a startup into a certain strategic direction, then they want that startup to be nearby. So I think it is also a learning curve. As soon the business angels will discover that it makes more sense to invest into 10 startups and be a passive investor there than to invest more money into a single startup and try to guide them where they believe they should go. The sooner this local focus will be removed. And I'm quite optimistic in that regard. I do see that business angels, at the end, they will be mostly interested in financial results.
That makes sense. Of course, everyone knows, I assume that by now everybody knows that, running a startup or being involved in one way or another with startups is risky and difficult. And one of the popular topics we get in this, let's say, area is fails or fuck-ups, as we like to call them. Do you have any, or what were some memorable fuck-ups that you've either heard about or perhaps experienced or seen? Do you have any stories like that?
No, not really. And if we had, we would not tell, because they would disappoint. Now, I mean, what I can say is that we are a little bit disappointed that although we had now more than 70 applications for mobility, we did not make one deal in a mobility startup in Germany. I think this is our biggest failure. Because the investors go for IT, for deep tech, for things with a quick exit after 3 years. And I think this is disappointing. We have to change this mindset as well, because they say, oh gosh, I don't understand this autonomous mobility stuff. Yeah, I can't see about hydrogen, for example, technology. Is this risky or not? Yeah, I need a specialist. This is too technical, you know. Therefore, they go for IT, for apps, for database development, and they think this is easier. So maybe we can change this. Yeah. So this is the biggest failure of Germany. Not that we did not do one mobility or energy investment.
Well, Adam, I have a pretty standard fuck up, as you said. We've had a startup, and they were actually able to raise some money through this club. And you know, it was a hardware startup, so they were developing an actual physical product. And of course, the product was completely developed when they were raising the money, and they needed just a little bit of money to push it on the market. As soon as they got the investment from the business angel, they had to completely redevelop the whole product. And the product is still not on the market today.
Oh, okay. Okay. Are they still working on it though?
They claim they are still working on it, but I know for a fact that they've spent all the money already on redeveloping the product. So even if they finish the product, I have no idea how they're going to position that on the market. They don't have any money for marketing support left, and they will not raise again because they are too late.
Yeah. That's quite something. What comes to mind is Indrek's speech, and one of his points: never stop selling.
These guys should listen to Indrek. I'm sorry they didn't.
Would you back that up? Yeah. All right. There's one more question we have here, which is we've touched upon it actually in your presentations, but we might as well reiterate. The question is, what are the benefits to public investment versus private investments in your view, if any?
Maybe I can start with this one.
Please.
I mean, first of all, you know, at the end of the day, most of the public investments come in the form of grants. So it's very clear that you know, they don't have to provide equity stake for that. Even in a matching funds scheme, when the government can and usually does get a convertible loan agreement, it's usually possible to repay the loan if the company is successful. So I would imagine that it's cheaper money than coming from private investors, less strings attached. That being said, it is more reporting, more administration. So startups and sometimes also private investors are very much not looking favorably at that. And for that reason, in-kind investments can also be very interesting because the reporting requirements are lower there, and startups do need an office space, and they do need mentoring, and they do need other services that these public institutions provide, even if this is not actually cash on the bank account.
Right.
Yeah, we had quite some business investments from the public after family and friends. Yeah, so the startups, when they ran out of money in their direct family area, they then went for the government, and it is not difficult to get those 50,000 pre-seed investment at an early stage. Yeah, and during the pandemic, there was even a prolongation. They could get another 50,000. Yeah, so they survive. Let's say the survival package, yeah, of the pandemic, and this helped a lot of startups to survive in the phase of, instead of discussing with the private investors. Private investors during the pandemic were cautious, or more cautious than in the past. So I think if the state government of Baden-Württemberg or Germany in general will not do this, yeah, we would have a lot of startups vanish from the market during the last 2 years. So I think we have to be very grateful that we have this system, this support in Germany, because otherwise we would have less startups still living on the market. Yeah. So
That's great.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, and the hurdle is not too high, you know. So to get those 50,000 euros, you can make it as a startup. It's not science. Yeah, rocket science. Okay.
Fantastic. I think those were some wonderful, fantastic insights. Thank you so much for them, for the knowledge you've shared and for your time that you spent with us. I will also remind our audiences, if they have any questions or comments, write them down in the comment section and we'll get to them as we can. I think we're ready to move on. So thank you so much once again, Alish and Sieglinde, and have a great day. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much, and we are happy to answer questions. So don't feel afraid to send us an email.
Yes. Totally.
See you again.
Thanks
All
a
right.
lot.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Now, I believe the time has come for something super practical, something that can help you actually right off the bat. I'm, of course, talking about the upcoming speed training on maximizing LinkedIn potential, aka how to get meetings with potential investors and clients through or from LinkedIn. How should your profile look like? That's the question that many of us have. How to choose whom to reach, right? What should you publish? What is the best? What is best sent in a private message? Now, all these questions and more will be answered by Sergey Pavlyuk. Sergey is the founder of StoryMatters.online and focuses on bringing you relevant business negotiations. We'll give him a few seconds, but before he connects, welcome, Sergey. There he is. Hello, hello. I'm not sure if it's just me, sorry to interrupt, but I can't hear you. Can you make sure that your microphone is turned on? Now it's good. All right, fantastic. Hello again, and it's all yours.
Thank you. Michael, I would like it to be as interactive as possible. So if it is possible, let us have a chat with everybody who wants to ask practical questions about their projects and about their goals. I would like to help as many of you as possible. And I believe that specific examples will be very much helpful to us all. So guys, if you have specific demands out of me, now is the time to private chat, and I will be dealing with those questions in the second half of our meeting. In the first half, I will answer those questions which Michael has hinted. All right, shall we start? All right, the first thing which we are about to discuss today is how your profile should look like on LinkedIn so you get the investment. The first thing which I would like you to know, to understand, that after 5 years experience with hundreds of campaigns, I'm quite sure that you need a personal profile on LinkedIn in order to get an investor. You don't need company page that much. I very much encourage you to have a nice company page, and it's good to communicate through the company page. Yet company page on LinkedIn has no option of private messaging. None at all. What does it mean? Let me show you my screen. Guys, hopefully you can see the screen. Michael, if you would be so helpful, please tell me if it is all right. And as you can see, the most people first interact with the feed. So on LinkedIn, I see the people and the company pages. On the second spot in the feed is always promoted post from the company page. On the first spot and on the third spot, most often are personal profiles and never a commercial. What I would like you to understand is that if you are impressed by this company page and you would like to approach its owner, well, it's not that simple. Basically, you have no message button here. You have to go to About section, and in the About section, you are to find some kind of contact information, and well, pretty much it's not personal and it takes time. On the contrary, if you are impressed by this counterpart, then you can just private message him. It's that simple. So when you're communicating to your potential investors or potential clients, potential employees, then I very much encourage you to use your profile page, personal profile, name, and your picture, not the company page that much. Of course, when I'm impressed by your communication, I might go to your company page. So how does it work? Let us say that I'm impressed by this post of Pavel, yet I'm not sure whether I would like to cooperate with him. Then I go on his profile, I study information about this guy, and well, I might also go to his company page to learn more about his company. So this is the most common path. How do I get to the company page? From personal profile. Afterwards, I go back and private message him if I would like to do so. So what I would like you to understand is that your company page success is actually driven by your profile's successes. And each startup might have 2, 3, 4 ambassadors on LinkedIn who might be representing this startup to specific focus groups. What does it mean? If you have 2 focus groups and they are different, they are about to hear different things from you, then let us communicate from 2 different profiles. This way, each profile might get the right information to the right counterpart. So if you have 5 focus groups, then I highly encourage you to have 5 profiles to communicate. Since if you would like to put it all on one profile, or even worse, on one company page, you are about to lose pretty much attention of everybody, since your communication will be quite vague and not specific enough. In order to be very specific, please concentrate on one focus group. And now I'm here to help you to optimize your profile on LinkedIn. Well, I might be talking about it for one day, but I have 5 minutes for it. So let me be quite quick and stress the most important things about your personal profile. I will be showing you on my example, my company's startup as well. And this is how our startups is represented by my profile. The first thing which I'm showing here is not only my picture, but picture of my team. This is the way how I'm showing that even though we are only 2 years old company, we have quite a huge team of specialized guys. Actually, this is half of our team, yet this is the most people picture which I've got. So on this picture, I have most of my team, and I'm showing this team here. Of course, you might be showing not your team, but your technology, or you might use only your company's graphics, but that's not so good. So I highly encourage you to use either picture of your technology or picture of your team. That are the best options. The worst option would be to leave this banner empty. LinkedIn very much dislikes this banner to be empty, and your social selling index will drop. I will be mentioning social selling index quite many times, so I highly encourage you to measure your social selling index. You just Google social selling index, click on the first link here, and choose Get Your Score for free. This way, you know how much does LinkedIn like you. And if LinkedIn likes you more, then you will be more visible to your potential partners. Your post will be more visible, you will be more visible in the search, and you will have less trouble private messaging them. If LinkedIn does not like you, well, it won't be working that well. What you need to know is that you are top 1% in your industry, or at least top 3%. That means that you are really getting the best result out of this network you might be getting. In order to do so, please optimize your profile. So when I'm telling you that you shall be having this banner, and not having this banner is very troublesome, I mean that your orange color would drop, and that means that your social selling index will be not good enough. Well, about your profile, the most important text is this. It's called professional headline. Take a note, I have it in 2 languages, in Czech and in English. Most of you guys outside of Czech and Slovak area would see the English version when you visit my profile. Why? Since it always appears according to your profile menu language. I have profile menu language in home, my network jobs, meaning it's in English. That means that automatically when I visit your profiles, I will be seeing your profiles in English if you have an English version. For example, if I'm visiting as a Czech guy, a Hungarian guy, then I'm not seeing his Hungarian version, I'm seeing his English, and LinkedIn is automatic about it. So I highly encourage you to have your profiles in 2 to 3 languages, which are important to your focus groups. And this headline is very important since it's the only text which is visible at home. So I'm reading this headline about Pavel, and it's only information about him without clicking on his profile. And it's even more important since it's only thing which I see about Tornik, who is asking me for connection on LinkedIn. And very often I decide only upon this information, and I do not look at his profile detail. I just decide straightforward whether I accept or decline. So headline is a key information. What to put at your headline? Well, I would put there not only your startup name and position in it, so let us say CEO at startup, I would put there what you are really doing, meaning what is the benefit of your startup. Let us say that your startup is helping businessmen to be more productive in making them better time schedule. Well, then I'm CEO at startup, which is making businessmen more productive by managing their time schedule. Write it down this way here in your headline. As you can see, founder at Story Matters is on the last spot since I don't consider it as important for the counterpart as this previous information. The information is bringing you relevant business negotiations with company customers. So this is why you should be in touch with me on LinkedIn, since I might be helpful for you in this. So that's headline. There is a key button. It's called Add Profile section. Please do pay attention to this button very much, since by this button, you might add more information about yourself on LinkedIn profile. Well, why would you do that? Some information might be quite crucial for your potential investor, for your potential customer, partner, yet it's always important for LinkedIn. So the more you tell about yourself to LinkedIn as a social network, the more this social network prefers your profile. Remember the social selling index. So your orange color is much better when you fill all information about yourself, including, for example, your education, volunteering, skills, recommendation, anything which LinkedIn offers you to be added shall be added if you don't mind communicating it for personal or business reasons. I would stress a few more sections on your profile. The thing which you need to understand about LinkedIn is that there are things with huge pictures and there are things with small pictures. So this thing is called featured, and it has a huge picture. Probably not the nicest picture of mine which I have, yet it attracts attention, and they play a video about my company and about benefits of cooperating with us. And that is what I need them to do, to understand better what is our use and, well, to feel emotion about ourselves. So I always put in the featured huge picture. If you have a video about your company, that's the best spot where to put it. If you don't, that's quite pity, since it very much is helpful for your profile, but let us put there at least PDF about your company or link to your website. So in the featured, you might have 1 to 2 things. Well, actually, I might put there 99 things, but that would be too much. 1 or 2 key informations shall be in the featured. One more section which I would like you to pay attention to is experience. This is where people are really looking to get informations about you and your company? Well, very many users don't have this text here. So they just put information about their current position in current company. And since this description is not necessary to have, they don't write it there at all. And that's bad. You need to put description there to explain the counterpart. What are you doing? And actually, this is the spot where I would recommend you to write that you are looking for investors, if you are. If this is really the thing which is most important for you in your LinkedIn communication, and you would like to evaluate results of this campaign accordingly, then here is the place where I write, okay, yes, we are a startup. Yes, we are helping people in that and that. Yet, currently, we are developing this and this. And in this matter, we are looking for potential partners and investors. Keep in mind that this text shall be quite brief, 3 to 7 lines maximum. Let us continue. So I go back and I am sharing with you one more experience. LinkedIn is SEO optimized network. What does it mean? Let us say you put in skills online marketing. Then when somebody is searching for online marketing, and people are really searching this way on LinkedIn already, not only on Google, then you might get here if you have online marketing written on your profile. Specifically, the best spots where to write it are this, the headline, and this, the experience. So afterwards, the only spot left for these keywords is skills. And if you don't have it in experience, and if there was not enough spot in the headline, then you shall put it in the skills. You have up to 50 spots left here. And most of people tend to write here, my skill is leadership. My skill is Microsoft Office. Well, if you want to be found under this keyword, under the Microsoft Office, fair enough, put it there. If this keyword is irrelevant and people who are searching for Microsoft Office shall not see you, put there the relevant keyword. So the keyword under which you really want to be visible. And careful, this skill is not only yours, it's the skill you are representing. So let us say that my company is shooting videos, which is true, but I'm not the cameraman and I'm not able to cut the video. Yet I have here video production for one simple reason. My company is capable of doing the videos. So if you ask me to shoot the video for you, I'm capable of providing you this service thanks to my team. So basically, put their skills of your company, which you are representing, not of your own. In case that you are searching for potential investors, the company skills are more relevant information. That is very, very brief information about your profile. We can go much more in depth, but for now, let me share one more critical information, which is edit public profile and URL. It's here. And on this spot, you decide how visible your profile is. And very common mistake, which I see in our clients' profiles, is that they do not put public here and they don't have green color all here. Why am I talking about it? For one simple reason. If you optimize your profile and you put all this relevant information about you and your company there, and you decide for your profile not to be visible, then it will be not delivering results to you. I'm not telling you, hey guys, you all must be public influencers. I'm just telling you, if you want to get results from LinkedIn, you shall be. So this is for LinkedIn profile optimization. Let me move on to building a community. If you have wonderful profile, but you don't have the right community on LinkedIn, meaning you don't have right friends on this network, you won't be getting results. You cannot expect potential investors to come to your profile and actively search for you and actively ask you for some kind of cooperation. That's not realistic. So basically, what I need you to do is to understand that it's normal on this network if a guy asks another guy for a connection on LinkedIn, even though those two guys never saw each other. It doesn't matter whether it's a guy or a girl, old or young, and important or less important. Doesn't matter. People who don't know each other connect on LinkedIn for business purposes, for potential to share know-how or get some kind of cooperation. It's normal. So if you ask 100 people, rich people, important people, for connection on LinkedIn, and you have never seen any of them, it's all right. It's part of the culture of this network. It's expected to happen. It doesn't mean that those guys will accept. Some of them will, some of them won't. The acceptance rate is, well, I'm talking about mediocre, not good one, not the bad one. The acceptance rate is about 30 to 40% if you are a guy, 10% better if you are a girl. If you are asking for connection people from different country, expect the results to be a little bit worse, about 7 to 12% worse. If you get 50, 60% acceptance rate, that's superb. That's a very good result. One more thing. You might be influencing this success rate not only by your profile information, but also by private message. So guys, if you would like to take notes, now is the time. I will be dictating you the typical message which is successful when connecting potential investors. I highly discourage you to use it the way I'm telling you, since after this meeting, 100 people might be using the same message. But I highly encourage you to use this structure. The message is, hello, George. Let me ask you for a connection on LinkedIn. Dot. The reason I'm asking is that I am founder, owner, sales director, any kind of position at company name, and we are specialized on, and put the 3 to 7 words on what you're specialized. Dot. Currently, we are looking for potential investors. Dot. Am I right to be connecting you? Question mark. Let me explain. I'm not pushing too hard. I'm just asking George to connect on LinkedIn. I'm not suggesting sending him further information. I'm not asking him for a meeting. Yet I'm quite direct. I'm asking him, are you okay with me being in touch with you on LinkedIn, since this is my intention to communicate to you as potential investor? So this way I'm building a relevant community. What will happen? About 40% of counterparts will accept my request and they will not reply. About 1 to 3% will reply. Most of these answers will be like, okay. Now comes the time for the third point, and that is publishing about your company, about your know-how, about your projects and future, about investment opportunities on LinkedIn. So it's not hard to publish on LinkedIn, but it's hard to get it right. Let me show you a few examples. When you publish on LinkedIn, you need to understand that there are different ways how to do it. You might publish pure text, you might publish text with picture, with video, you might publish PDF file, and very successful lately, you might publish a poll. All of those things are just okay. I wouldn't use this one. It's not working very well. Yet, things which are not that obvious are that when you are publishing on LinkedIn, you tend to be short. Your text tends to be like on Twitter. Well, that's not good. you're not getting influence on the counterpart by short remarks like on Twitter. People on LinkedIn are used to reading longer text, 10, 15 lines. It's all right. Of course, I'm not encouraging you to write irrelevant longer text, but if you are able to write a longer relevant post, this is the most appreciated content on this network. And this is how it's done. Another thing, when you don't have a relevant picture and you tend to download the picture from internet or ask your graphic designer to do just some random graphics for it, it's not good. It's all right to publish a plain text. It's all right. If you have an authentic picture for it, it's better. But if you would publish a good text with a bad picture, that's not a good way to do it. Another thing about the content, you need to get attention of the reader in the beginning. I just told you that the longer text, it's all right. It's not a problem. Yet, what you need to understand is that on the first 2 lines, the reader is deciding whether to read this text or not. So the best practice is to ask a rhetorical question in the beginning of this post, so the counterpart might understand what you are about to talk. And he decides whether you want to listen to it or not. The other thing you might do is to jump in right to the point. That's not an option, but please keep in mind that you need to get his attention on the first 2 lines. Well, how often to publish? The best practice is once to twice a week. When to publish those posts? It's not that important actually. It's a lot of there are a lot of theories about it, yet we have measured it and we know that on Tuesdays and on Wednesdays it's the best option. Thursdays are also good enough, and before the noon is the better timing than afternoon. Yet the difference from, let us say, Sunday evening is not that big. It's 5 to 15%. So it's not that important when to publish. It's important what to publish. Another thing, please keep in mind that LinkedIn does not like you sharing another people's or another page's post and just adding few things from yourself. Yeah, there is an option to share a post. Just don't use it, since from point of view of LinkedIn algorithm, and it's not official information, it's just practice, we see it, it's a duplicate content and he's not supporting it very much. So if you share a post or if you create your own post, it's a big difference. Your own post gets to be 2 to 4 times more successful. Unique posts are more supported by this network. And another thing, I highly discourage you to use URLs. If you use a URL from time to time, it's all right. Yet, if most of your posts have URLs, then basically you are putting LinkedIn users outside of LinkedIn. I don't think that this network likes it. So this is the practical information about posting. Again, this was very fast. There are many details you are free to ask. And the last thing which you need to understand is that, okay, you have a nice profile, you get the potential investor to connect you, you show him for 3 to 4 months information about your startup, he will be not writing you. In this moment, you check whether he is still following you, and if so, you are about to write him. We call this acquisition messages, and those are just fine. They shall be quite personal, so he shall get a feeling that you really paid attention to him and you are addressing him specifically. Yet again, I promised you specific examples, so let me say what this message might look like. Hello, George. Thank you for following me on LinkedIn. Actually, I have been paying attention to you and your company as well. Right now, I see potential to discuss possible cooperation in specify. for example, in investing into our project. Dot, would it be all right for us to have a video call about this matter next week? And now the numbers. LinkedIn allows you to ask up to 20 people daily for a connection if you have a good social selling index and if people are not responding to you too bad. So let us say if your social selling index is higher than 60 points and at least 40% of people are accepting your invites, then it's not probable that LinkedIn will be blocking you in any way if you ask up to 20 people for connection daily, up to 100 weekly. Again, those are not exact data. They are always personal about your profile. I would not recommend you to ask more than 20 daily. For some time, it might work, but LinkedIn is very probable to block you in a temporary way or in a bad way. So basically what I do encourage you to do is to ask up to 10 people for connection daily if you have a bad social selling index, and up to 20 if you have a good one. That means that during 3 months, you might ask for a connection 1,200 potential investors from one profile. Let us say you are communicating from three profiles, then it's 3,600 potential investors. And you deliver them those posts. After 3 to 4 months period, you might be approaching 3,000 people who are left with your proposal. Then expect conversion rate from 4% to 40%. It depends on your message. It depends on how good you formulate your message and how impressive were your posts. The bad result would be 4%, but still 4% meetings from 3,000 potential investors. That's fine enough. The amazing result would be 40%. Guys, this is pretty much all from my side. Now is space for questions.
All right, lots of practical information. Thank you so much, Sergey.
Thank you, Adam.
Now, I will remind our audiences that if they have any questions or comments, put them into our comment section and I'll get them to Sergey as they're coming in. First question is actually from me, and it's very specific because when I was preparing for today's event, I looked at LinkedIn profiles of everyone, really, and I've noticed when I was looking at Indrek's LinkedIn profile that he had a little audio file attached next to his name, and when I clicked on it, it played his name because I was curious on how to pronounce his name. Is that a paid feature, or is that something that everyone can do if we're working internationally, let's say?
It's a new feature, and everybody can do it. It's about 1 year old, and if you have a strange name like I do, I highly encourage you to use it. How to get it there? Let me show you. Let me share my screen very briefly. LinkedIn is counterintuitive in its UX, so you might get lost from time to time. So pay attention to the pencils. In this case, the pencil you need is here. So you use this pencil.
Just give me a second. I'm still not seeing the visual. Still loading up.
Okay.
There it is. Now I can see it.
Okay, so you need to click on this pencil in this case, all right?
Okay.
And this is the way you get information about your name and most basic information about yourself, all right?
Mm-hmm. All right. Fantastic. Great. I'll try that out, actually. Thank you so much.
Are there any other questions?
Yes. What improves your social selling index the most is a question that we have here.
Very good question. Thank you for it. Guys, it's not that easy. I would name 4 things for you, all right? First, put as much information about yourself to your profile. Second, publish regularly and interact with others, meaning like and comment their content. Third, make new connections. And fourth, use LinkedIn filters. The fourth I will be showing you exactly. LinkedIn likes you to be specific about building your community. So when you use My Network button and you study people who are recommended to you, well, he likes it and he gives you extra points for it. So here are recommendations for me. And it's all right to see them.
Yes, now we see them.
My Network and recommendations. They are here. And if I search for specific people who I want to connect with, then I switch to people and I use all filters to specify what kind of owners do I want to connect with, or let us say I write here an investor, and actually there are investors on LinkedIn. They write about themselves, I'm an investor. So let us say that I'm searching for an investor in Poland. Then I specify country. And if I need a guy who is very much familiar with financial services and banking and insurance, then I specify this as well. So industries and country, that would be here. I might be actually looking for a guy in Warsaw. And now I see that 303 results. But if I write an investor in Polish, I might get another 400 results. So first of all, this is a good trick how to find relevant people to connect with. And second of all, LinkedIn Social Selling Index rises very much in this violet color if you are using this. Of course, violet color also rises when you buy a premium. Premium is a good choice. Yet it costs money, about 80 to 90 euros monthly. So I'm not telling you all to buy it, just that your violet color would rise by about 3 points, and that you will get some extra filters, which are useful. Yet, if you are about to buy a premium, keep in mind that if you need a potential investor or a potential buyer, I highly recommend you to buy Sales Navigator. This is the premium which will be most useful to you.
All right. We actually have a question that is connected to that in a bit, I believe, which is, are paid promotions useful at all on LinkedIn? Since we mentioned the premium membership and Sales Navigator, what do you think?
Oh, this is a tricky question. Guys, I'm working on this network. I shall not be this clear and direct with you, since they are earning money by those promotions. Let us say that I highly recommend you LinkedIn promotion after you have at least 1 billion euros yearly turnover. Below this yearly turnover, I would not invest in LinkedIn promotion if I were you. The impressions, they are very expensive, and the conversions are close to zero. That is why.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
One other question we have here, which is actually, I'm curious about this myself. The question is, how important are skill recommendations from others? You've touched upon the recommendations briefly, but that's the question. How important are the skill recommendations? And
again, thank you very much for a good question. Guys, it's quite simple. The skills, they are keywords. So it's important for you to have the keywords so that you appear in the search. If you are recommended on that skill and you're not recommended on that skill, that does not matter that much. Yeah, I have 52 endorsements for skill online marketing. Thank you for it. Yet it almost does not matter. For algorithm to appear my profile on online marketing, it's all right if I have 0 endorsements. Yet what recommendations are important are those from people with text. So actually, the fact that I have some recommendations from our clients and that they are writing that we got them some kind of results, those are important for potential investors of mine or potential clients of mine to decide to contact me or to decide to answer to my meeting request.
Okay. Well, brilliant, wonderful. Thank you so much. One more question that I have here is, because you mentioned, you've talked about the skills that you put in your profile, and you mentioned that it's better for you if you have a company, if you have a startup company, to sort of frame those skills as the skills that your company can provide, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And the question here is, can we or should we perhaps combine our personal skills and the skills of our company, or should we keep it separate?
I see your point. Well, if you are searching for a new job, then use your personal ones. Those are very important for recruitment in certain fields, so for example in IT. Yet, if you connect your future closely to your company, I would use skills of your company, and I would not communicate your personal skills. So it depends on goal which you have in mind. If you are to represent your company in front of potential partners, investors, customers, I will be communicating company. So on my profile, you might be seeing that right now, Sergey is Story Matters and Story Matters Sergey.
I see. Okay, so it's better not to combine it.
No, that would be quite weird. If somebody actually reads it, it will not make sense in some cases. For example, I would have the building startup and then Microsoft Office. That's strange.
Okay, I see your point. Brilliant. All right, I'll remember that for myself as well. Thank you. One more question is there a certain type of posts that works best in your experience? You talked about like the pictures and videos, but I suppose generally speaking, is there a type?
Again, thank you for this question, since I did not mention content much. The most popular posts on this network are your political and social views, your food tastes, and your free time. Yet there is a trouble about those posts. They are not getting business to you, and in some cases, you are actually losing business because of them. So basically, you'll be connecting impressions, likes, comments. Wonderful. You'll be just a poor guy. That's the only trouble about it. So if you want LinkedIn to deliver you business in any way, I highly discourage you to publish those things. What I would encourage you to publish are very much specific professional things. Yeah, they will be not getting that much praise and that much attention, yet you will get hundreds or even thousands of views if you follow things which I have told you, and that's enough. You need 5 huge investors. That's enough. And actually, potential investors, they do not like, they do not comment, they just watch.
Fair enough. Well, with that brilliant insight, our time is up. So thank you so much, Sergey, for such an enriching training. I loved it, and I hope to see you some other time, perhaps.
Adam, thank you very much. And to you guys, if you have any questions which I have not answered during this meeting, feel free to approach me on LinkedIn. I'm here for you. I will be answering them on LinkedIn. Thank you.
All right. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, I loved it. I hope you enjoyed and learned something as well. But I have to say, for now, this is it, ladies and gentlemen. We have learned quite a lot, haven't we? From Michael Stefan and Jan Strnad, we've learned the most important facts about angel investments into early stage startups and the CE Connector initiative. From Ian Collins, we've heard about executing go-to-market strategies and finding strategic investors. Indrek Poldvej taught us how to avoid burnout while running a startup. Aleš Pustovrch and Sieglinde Waltz shared some lessons learned and good practices when it comes to building co-investments. And of course, Sergey Pavlyuk trained us in maximizing our LinkedIn potential. Now, I'd like to thank you all, thank all of our guests as well, of course, as our audience. I hope you've enjoyed this CE Connector Day. A big thanks once again goes to the Interreg Central Program for financing initiatives meant to, well, build bridges for early stage investments across Central Europe, such as this one. Have a great day. Thank you also goes, a big thank you, of course, goes to our team and everybody backstage working on this event. Good luck with your startups and with your endeavors and investments. It's been a great having you. Now, for those of you taking part in our roundtable discussion in the afternoon, please keep in mind that we start at 1:30 sharp at the Zoom link provided. That's it. It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much. Have a great day. And for those of you coming to that round table, see you then. Bye-bye.